Hello, good morning everybody. Welcome to Monday. Got a public service announcement. My filters aren't working this morning and they haven't worked for quite some time in the oldie Facebook app. And the day that I'm running late from getting back from the gym and I've got a scrubbed up face, it would have been nice Facebook for the filters to be working, but no. So here we have it, fresh face, fancy free, out of the shower, ready for the Coffee Run Live. Really excited to have you. It is, I don't know, some ridiculous number of episode. I feel like it's 261. And I was pondering on Friday actually about some different things that I've seen play out and that I've noticed for me. Now, and Saturday actually too. So there's some things that we know how to do, and there's beliefs, there's decisions that we make, right, around how something needs to play out or how we expect it to play out. And often we can make things harder than what they actually need to be. So I was doing some tech setup over the weekend. Hey, Catherine. And yeah, that's right. Keeping it real. You got it. Nothing if not real, except for the enhanced bits on my being, which is, doesn't happen in the space of a shower. That's a whole other story. So we will often make things harder than what they need to be. And the thing that I realized, it was on Friday and then went through on Saturday, is that we get thrown a whole lot of information, right? All of the time. And we know this, we see it happen all day, every day. There's things where we need to do this and we need to do that and we need to eat healthily and we need to stop this and we need to do keto and we need to do carb free and we need to do high carb, low fat, low carb. Even if we're looking at health. And it's really no freaking wonder that everybody is overwhelmed. And I'm sure that you probably see this play out in your industry as well, where there is so much information and often misinformation actually that gets put out there that it just becomes really hard to discern, or it can be hard to discern what's actually going to work for you or not. Now, in the case of the internet and marketing and getting, your courses out there and doing launches and all of this, that, and the other, I was thinking back to 2010 when I first started. Now, there was nothing accessible the way that it is now in terms of how to launch, what to do, how to set it up. It was it seemed very complicated. It seemed very convoluted. And probably looking back, it probably was not actually really that complicated and convoluted, but the information wasn't readily available. So it was kind of like a different overwhelm, right? It was like a lack of information overwhelm, or like a lack of knowledge and unsurety stepping in with like, where do I find this information? Who do I trust? Where do I go? Who do I turn to? Who do I listen to? Where do I even find this? Do I go to a library? It's you're not probably going to go to a library these days and go check out a book on how to do internet marketing, or how to do online marketing, or how to make money online, or anything like that. You're going to go to the Googles or the Facebook and things like that. And you'll find that there is just a whole plethora of information. And a lot of the information contradicts the other information, right? So I advocate for being you. I know other people are like, oh my God, don't put anything about your family life up on Facebook or LinkedIn or YouTube or anywhere. It's got to be about your product. It's got to be about your audience. Like, don't do anything personal on there, God forbid. And, I guess like that's where some people can end up really freaking confused. And so what do? I think what ends up happening is that we until we find a person that can really kind of cut through that noise, what we tend to do is like gather. We keep gathering all the information. I know I did this. I subscribed to every single person that I could come across on the internet. I was like scoping out, full stalking what people's websites were doing, this is how I actually learned to build my own website. I would go to other people's websites and have a look at the back end of the code and try and work out how did they get that thing there. And then I'd go and research it and Google it, and kind of like 1 + 1 is sometimes 25, sometimes 1 + 1 was 2. But I suppose if we know that this is happening in your industry, well, and for your audience, then it becomes really important, you guys, for you to be you, for you to really get out there and be that shining light of freshness, rawness, realness, humanity. Yes, Catherine, all about being human, exactly. And I think like the thing that we want to be clear on is, hey, that yes, there are many ways of doing this, but you know what, through my experience, through the stuff that I've done, through my study, through the application, with working with my clients, whatever it is that you've done, you've found a way that works for many people, right? So that's really what we want, what we need to be going and putting out there. But I think what happens, and this is where today's message really comes from, about how we tend to make things harder for ourselves, is that we try to compress that kind of message into a way of being that doesn't necessarily, or a way of writing or a way of speaking that doesn't necessarily fit you. Right? When you wear a pair of shoes that are too small for you, like the too big ones don't tend to wreak so much havoc. But if you've got a pair of shoes that are too small for you, your toes are going to be pinched, your heels are going to hurt, like the undersole of your foot's going to feel horrible. And it's going to be really hard for you to feel comfortable, look good, and really own that pair of shoes as the completion for your outfit, right? So if you're trying to really sort of like force yourself into a way of doing things that is just not working, then it's your job and your responsibility to find a better way. So one of the things that you can do is sit down and actually work out, well, what is it that I want? How do I want to speak? How do I want to message? How do I want to put my content out there? How do I want to appear on camera? How do I want to do my live streams? Yes, there's frameworks. There are things that we can use and we can build to support you. Like we've got the content map. If you're in the States next month, there's a content, like my visible boot camp that's happening for 2 days. I'll put the link in later because I don't have it handy. I've got like different things like the business badassery bundle that's going on at the moment with the $1 Million Success Mindset stuff. There's ways of, like, we've got to get you really clear, first of all, on working this out for you. So journaling is a great way to do that. Sitting down brainstorming is a great way to do that. Chatting to someone who can ask you thought-provoking questions who don't have an agenda, right? And I think this is one of the key things. Like, so number one, who don't have an agenda, and number two, aren't looking at you and your business and your offerings and your messaging and everything like that through their own lens. Okay, and this is where when you're asking family members for opinions, or you're asking people who don't get it, who are never going to buy, asking for opinions, it's actually making your life a hell of a lot harder, because now you're trying to sift through all of these differing opinions. I see this happen all the time in these groups that are around on Facebook, where we know that there are, like, let's say that there's a whole bunch of brand new startup business owners that are in there, or people who are really tentative and not quite sure how to find their voice and how to put themselves out there. If you've got a whole group of people like that, and then each other is asking for the opinions, you're going to get a skewed response, because they're looking at it through their own experience, versus where a mentor or someone who's a lot more impartial can say, okay, and this is what I would say, like if Catherine said, oh, look, Nicola, like I really want to work out what my message is and things like that, then I'm going to ask questions that provoke the thinking and provoke the answers out of her. I'm not going to tell her what her message is. You have to come up with that. I can help you with some strategies to draw that out, but it would be remiss of me to tell you what your message is, because it's your message, right? It's your thing. And I guess like what I was thinking about was I've been working really hard at the gym, and I know that in the last 2 weeks that I've really just started to kind of really be able to work out, right, like if I do this and I can hurt more, if I do this, then I can actually be more efficient and effective with my exercising, or like with the way that the pressure gets put or in just like making the most of actually what's being done, rather than just kind of doing it flippity gibbet and floppy jalopy type thing. And not that I do anything floppy jalopy, but you get the idea, about like making it harder for myself to get the results. So if you're staying in the land of overwhelm, you're making it harder for yourself. If you're looking at all of your competitors trying to work out how the fuck you're going to be different, you're actually making it harder for yourself. If you're sitting there thinking about, oh my gosh, like what if people don't pay this? How am I going to make this work? What am I going to say today? If you're sitting there just like building up that little cesspool of tension, then you've got to have a way of tapping into that tension and drawing out what needs to be said out of there, right? You don't just want to go, oh, tools down and, often go and do something else. So we don't want to relieve the tension. We want to work with the tension that's there. And then when we work with the tension, it actually makes everything easier. I trust that makes sense. So how are you making things harder for yourself? What if, like with a lot of health and well-being stuff, if you increase your water intake from 1 liter to 2 liters a day, you're probably going to feel a lot better. If you don't want to wake up so tired, it's actually really fucking simple. Go to bed earlier, right? Eat better before you go to bed and go to bed earlier. If you want to be more clear, do the mindset work. If you want more clarity, do the mindset work. If you want to accelerate your results, then find somebody to help you to do that. Too often we kind of buy into this, oh, I've got to do it on my own. I've got to find the way myself. Like all of these other people can do it. I can work out a way of doing this myself. You could do what I did, which is go and scope out the people and the websites and all of that. Like back in 2010, actually it was even before that when I built my first website. It's like, how do they do that? And you can go and do all of that, but you're actually making it harder for yourself. So you've got two choices, the way that I see it. Number one, you can invest in yourself and accelerate your learning curve, and most likely you will start to achieve a result faster. Or you can save your money and you can go and do all the research, and then you can start to implement, and you will get results if you're implementing, and it will probably take you longer and slower, right? Maybe not. Maybe I know that there are some exceptions. But often this, like, I've got to do it on my own. I've got to do it on my own. I've got to do it on my own is actually making your life harder for you than it is making it any easier. A bit like hiring a personal trainer who's going to kick your ass and give you really targeted feedback and great results, right? But then you can't go and sit and eat the whole tub of ice cream at night because that's going to undo everything, yeah? So self-sabotage is a really intricate and interesting little kind of like a cancer. You know how cancers, they have kind of like the nucleus of the cancer, and then they have little legs that kind of like run off everywhere. Like self-sabotage is like that, the way that I see it. So if you go and you sit down and you're like, okay, so where in my life, my business, my health, my relationships, your money, your social status, your family, anything, where have you been, or are you making it harder for yourself than what it actually needs to be? Maybe there is a simpler solution. And I would encourage you to like explore that notion, because to me, I think there's always an easier option. And then it becomes a choice of, well, am I actually going to do this? Am I going to back myself? Am I going to actually make it happen? Or am I going to go at it, keep going at it on my own? Only you can answer that for you. So that's it today. Really, I think it's really important that if you're waking up grumpy, you're making it harder for yourself. If you're instigating fights with people or with your family, you're making that harder for yourself. If you're getting money in and then you're spending it all, you're making it harder for yourself, right? So stop with making it so fucking hard for yourself. Have a really honest conversation with on your own in your journaling or however it is that you do that, and just have a look and go, okay, in these areas, am I making fun harder than what it needs to be? Am I making my social life harder than what it needs to be? My family, your soul, right? So that's your beliefs, your view of the world. Is it cup half full, cup half empty? Do you say that you're not negative, but then every word that comes out is complaining, right? You're making it harder for yourself. Money, health, your mindset, relationships, and business. So have a look at all of those areas. And if you are, then make some freaking adjustments. All right. I'm going to love you and leave you, absolute rock stars and badasses. Have an amazing Monday. Get out there, go help some people, have fun doing it. If you are in the States next month and you can spare the 16th and the 17th to get your 2020 content absolutely sorted and nailed. Oh, look at that. That's helpful. Then I will put the link in here after, but it is nicolamoras.com.au/rockstars. It is going to be a whole lot of fun and you'll have your marketing plan done for next year. So have an amazing day, everybody. Go help some people and remember that the world is ready for your brand of awesomeness. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye.